Here's my latest scratcher. I wanted to kind of go over what I bought. I bought this early this year and had it out one time or two times and did not like the way it ran. So I did some modifications on it. And I'll go over them with you. I got the boat trailer and the motor. So the problem with the boat is it's really loud and wobbly, and someone took the seat out, so the sides vibrate, and this makes a lot of noise, and it bounces a lot on the ice. It's got runners on it, and the problem with these runners are, it looks like they're made out of 2x4s with some metal on the bottom, steel. And so most of it, they gradually, make it smaller, the bow, and then it comes to be like a regular 2x4 here. And then as you start to get to the rear, they shaved it back down to maybe 2 inches. So it's not perfectly flat when you're running. And it's, what would it be, convex. So as you're riding in it, it rocks back and forth like a rocking horse, and that makes it even harder to drive and more uncomfortable to sit in because it's rocking and the sides are shaking, making all kinds of noise. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this hull. If I'm going to run it this year, and if it's still just a pain in the ass to ride in, I'm going to take the rails off and put a poly bottom on. So it's kind of a funky paddle wheel design. I shouldn't have bought this, but I've never seen the paddle wheel design, and I've never seen one before, so I bought it. And the reason was I thought maybe this thing could paddle you through some open water back onto the ice. I did read in like a 1961 Outdoor Life about scratchers in the Stoddard area that the scratcher company originally came up with a paddle wheel design, but it didn't work out well because it couldn't go through deep snow and it'll get hung up. It also has a lot of drag. When this thing's spinning just off the ice, it's like a big fan. So I think there's a lot of drag if you want a speedy one. The prior owner already put a CVT clutch on it, or a continually variable transmission. It had a Tecumseh 7-horse on it, and I think the prior owner put this on, but I had to get a new one of these, so I couldn't get it off the old motor. The reason I didn't like the old motor is the linkage to the carburetor. Even with where the old style rototiller throttle was, it wasn't opening and closing quite right, so it would get stuck. And instead of trying to find the correct linkage for the carburetor, I just bought one of these cheap Predator 224s at Harbor Freight. They had it on sale. I think it was like $200. And I'm more used to working on these motors than the other one. Also, the Tecumseh motor, the way the gas tank was, when you're on the ice, this thing is flipped up, and the gas tank would be tipped all the way down this way, and the hole for the gas line was way up high. So the first time I had it out, I couldn't get it started, and I knew it was out of gas, but I couldn't figure out why. And even with the full tank, almost it wouldn't flow down into the carburetor because it was tilted so bad. Hopefully I won't have a problem with this one. I'm not sure. This one, I got a new clutch. We got the pulley here. That's the old one. I took out the low oil sensor. I figured it's probably going to shut off if it tipped up sideways too much. But the thing I've been working on now is this articulated tiller. And I think these articulated tillers are, if you're going to do a mod, do one of these articulated tillers, because these older tillers are too small, they're too short. And when that motor is bouncing up and down, it's really hard on your wrist. And you got to sit when you run it. But with the articulated tiller, you can stand and have it up here and run standing, which is really good on the back, because if you're sitting on that bench holding onto that old style tiller, the ice is really rough, so it's really hard on your back if you're driving around all day. So it's nice to be able to stand and absorb some of that shock with your legs, instead of just constantly getting your back pounded and your wrist jerked around by that tiller. And then you other guys, probably a lot of other guys, know that you put these bungee cords on here, so if you don't have it, the engine's always going to pop back in a forward direction, where in a lot of views you can see the motor kind of swinging around and stuff. So I put the bungee cords on to kind of get it to always go back, but it's loose enough where you can still turn it all the way. But that's another mod, but not a super important one. The main one is this tiller. I had put a twist style motorcycle one on last year on my other scratcher, and it was just too hard to control with this moving up and down. I like the duckbill, works a lot better. Let's see. Let me turn the music off. So yeah, this has got 3-inch CVT, 7-inch driven clutch, the bigger one. I think they have a 6 or 7. Probably owner put a 7 on, I'm not sure. Then I've got this sprocket here is 13 teeth, and then this sprocket here is 72. Get it around here. 72 teeth on this driving sprocket, and then the standard 22 teeth on the drive wheel. I'm sorry, not 22 teeth, 44 teeth on the drive wheel. And this is, again, your standard 18.5-inch diameter wheel. Anything else? Again, I'm not sure if the height of this is going to be enough. It looks like it's about 6 inches below the bottom of the rails, so it should dig in pretty good. But again, I'm not going to do too much more with this motor. The only other ones I got rid of the air filter, high flow air filter, and then I put a high flow carb or exhaust on it. And I think I'm just going to keep this one stock. The only thing I did to it is just pull off this breather hose and pulled off the breather hose that went down to the carb and, I don't know, some EPA thing. And then you can't, on the older models, you can get the chain or the belt is on this side, and you can change it really easy. But if this breaks, you have to take all this apart to get the new chain on. So someone recommended, really good idea, put a spare belt on here, so if this does break, you can just slide it back on without having to tear all this apart out on the ice. The tiller handle, again, it's just a 1/2-inch black pipe. I heated up with MAP gas and bent it, and then I notched. This is a 1-inch square tube, 1/8 of an inch thick. I bought the Menard stuff, but it was too thin. It didn't work last year. And then you can either bolt it to the existing bolts that hold the motor on, but I just had some room, so I put 2 bolts down here. And it should clear. It shouldn't get hung up in here. And the final thing is, I don't want to put a lot of effort into this hull, is because this wheel, this is really thin gauge metal. I think the earlier drive wheels they did, I didn't measure how thick it is, but it's not as thick as the later ones, and this is bent. This, I don't know if it was because these fins hit something and bent it, and it's just kind of a design flaw. I mean, I can see a dent here, but the wheel just goes wang, 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 wobbles. I can show you. It's got probably about a 1/2 inch deviation from left to right. Let me try to start this. You can see how bent that wheel was, and it's gonna be pretty tough to repair if it's bent. I don't know how I'd bend it back. I'd take everything apart and try to true it up. But yeah, this is one of the newer scratchers here. This boat is just a wreck. I don't know why he raised this maybe 2.5 inches. I don't know if it's because there's rails on the bottom. The rails required it. No, the rails, you'd want to lower it if the rails raised the boat up. So I don't know why he raised this transom. I'm pretty sure this is the standard 16 inches. Now it's about 18. And then when I had it out last year, there was no snow, so I don't know if it was for make it to run in deeper snow. I don't know for sure. It's got the still got the brass. I got it busted up when I was hauling it back home. After I bought it, it ripped off, chewed up the brass tag. But it says Stoddard Scratcher. What does it say? Scratcher? I can't read it. Scratcher Products Inc., Stoddard, Wisconsin. And that's about it for this find. Again, I shouldn't have bought it, but I wanted it because of that paddle wheel design. See how it works. It's probably not going to be a deep snow rig. Like I said before, I don't like the runners on it. It's like riding a rocking horse on ice. It just rocks back and forth. But there you go. If you have any ideas on how to straighten that wheel, let me know.